Cam N3KS slash TI7W now lives there full time. If you're not familiar with how I met Cam, we met literally we didn't meet physically the first time until about 3 weeks before WRTC in Boston. We were teamed together. We didn't really know each other, but we hit it off really well. Awesome guy, great relationship. As we were talking, and he's like, you know, I have a state. He was living here, and I have a station in Costa Rica. If you want to come down, it'd be great. Oh, okay. The rigs, a couple of rotors, and stack matches on every band except 160. I'll get more into that, and it's even 80 now. But here's the station. Here's the location. I'm trying to put this little dot here today. Liberia is the airport you fly into. It's not a bad flight. I usually go from here to Atlanta, and it's about a 3.5-hour flight there, and about an hour drive to the station. It's really, you can get there really quickly. It's not an exhausting trip at all. Not far from the Nicaraguan border, you can actually see, what's this, Lake Managua, I think it is, the big one. You can actually see that from an outpost. Cam's up in the mountains on the Tenorio volcano. Antennas, the big mono, I call it, OptiBeam 17.4. It's that one was new from when I was there last year. 3 elements on 40. It's a 220-pound antenna, by the way, and it's very windy in Costa Rica. And I was very nervous going down there because Cam texted me and said, "You're going to hate the landing. We're having 80-mile-an-hour winds today." There was a tree on the guest house when I got there, so but it was okay. 4 elements on 20, 4 elements on 15, and 6 elements on 10. I never turned the antennas for one, but you just like not enough. Now the big improvements from the previous year, he added 2 3-element 80-meter Yagis, and they're made of wire. I didn't put any pictures because the pictures didn't really come out. He lives in a jungle, okay. Or it's remnants of an old rainforest. He put these up with his drone. He was able to bring everything up over the canopy and carefully place the lines in these antennas. One's at like 100 and one's at 120 feet. Really, really awesome. And on 160, full-size delta loop. He's got a tree that's probably, I don't know, been there since the Earth was formed. It's about 200 feet, and it's on a slope. And then there's another tree about 140 feet. He runs the 2 ends of the delta loop up to that, and then he slopes it away like this, so it's kind of like at a 45-degree angle. Really quiet antenna, works really well. Not the best place for 160. You kind of pick your choices, but to be honest though, you'll see the numbers. It still plays really, really well. We're not the loudest, but I feel like you're loud enough on 160 there. Great place to go. Here's the first tower. This is the original tower. Originally had like a simple little OptiBeam up there, not an OptiBeam, a log periodic. You would just kind of be low key, and then you start getting competitive, and then your whole land is all antennas. This is the big OptiBeam. You can see the 3 elements on 40, and then the various other elements. Below are a couple of 2 monobanders for 15 and 2 monobanders for 10. I did not use those a whole lot. They're kind of redundant now because you can run in the other. I'll show you the other tower. That antenna you can run in 3 directions at one time if you want. The monobanders are like you have some pointing north and the others pointing northwest. I did use those on 10 meters because the lower 10-meter antenna that's due north is really, really quiet. This is the newer one. He put this up specifically with CQ Worldwide in mind. Chris, KL9A, has been going down there the last 2 years. I earned a nickname We invented a Q signal called QNN, Q Nate Nap, because I lost by less than 1% to AP5A, and I took a couple of naps and I got heavily criticized for the past year for that. But nonetheless, you learn from that.
It's okay, Sleepy.
And that became the big focus for me. It actually was doing the whole 48 preparation. I took this quite seriously. This picture right here is looking at the volcano Miravallis from Cam's backyard. Beautiful view. It was cloudy the whole time I was here, but when it's sunny, it's even better. I started exercising. I bought a bicycle for $85 at Walmart, and I just said I'm going to ride this bike. I want to get in better shape, so I can maybe possibly stay up 48 hours or be a little more coherent, and it really did pay off. I continued the dual pilot practice. I hit it in spurts, and then about 3 weeks out I hit it really heavy, really focused heavily on getting not just speed, although that's always a focus, but also getting full calls. And getting full calls in a pile-up, if you can do that successfully, your rate really goes up. And it's a huge, huge benefit. But surprisingly to me, and I'll get more into this in a second, it wasn't the speed, it was the repetition, the reps that I got. Because I stayed up the whole 48 hours for this. On the second day, when you don't know your name, it becomes a primary motor skill, and you can still do it. And you don't even know you're doing it. You hope you did it right, you logged it right. But I still do a lot of CWTs, but a lot of those and other domestic contests. This helped not just refining the skills, but developing your own super check partial. Because you're better than the computer with the super check partial. The computer helps a lot, but if you can do that, you can just hear a piece of a call, and it's amazing how quickly you can piece it together. I was determined to do more dual CQ. The first time I ever did it really live was last year in this contest, and this was a pretty big stage for me last year, the biggest I'd been on. You're a little unsure what you can actually do, especially when, oh my God, these are real people, it's not a computer, I got to do something, okay? I did about 30 hours of it last year. This year, I did 47 hours of dual CQ, and the only time I didn't was the first day on 10 meters, because I was figuring that opening was going to be very short. One of them think you're crazy. Okay, Wednesday night I get there, made great time getting back. I just went straight to sleep. The sleep this time was a big deal. I really focused on that. I was amazingly relaxed, which I'm not always relaxed. 8 hours Wednesday night, and Thursday night before the contest, 10 hours of sleep. I was so happy when I woke up. I tried to take a nap Friday afternoon, didn't work, so I actually ended up staying awake for 61 consecutive hours. Mood remained. I don't know, I was just kind of loose and comical throughout the thing. Go time. Off and running, 20 and 40 meters, just having a blast. Wasn't really sure what 20 was going to do. Contest starts at 6 o'clock local there. 20 was good for about an hour and a half. First hour, 352 Qs. One of my main goals was to break 350 in an hour on CW. Did that right away. And then there was a 60-minute stretch. I had 374 Qs, okay? And the best minute was 10 in a minute, and the last 10 rate was 600, actually, okay? Low bands, exceptionally quiet. It was so nice with the quiet low bands, because the key in dual CQ is you really need to have quiet band conditions, even with the audio switching. The way it works with the audio switching in dual CQ is you're in what's called latch mode, where you CQ on this side, you're only listening on the other side. Where you're transmitting, you hear nothing. Okay, so I never hear a side tone. Okay?
You don't monitor your sending?
No, I don't hear it.
Because the computer's doing it.
The computer's doing it. All right. Now you can have it printed out, like almost like RIDI if you want. Like MM does that. DXLog does it now. I didn't use it in DXLog. DXLog has a red bar around the window that's transmitting. huge improvement.
Oh, that is great on N1.
And MM has that now as well.
That is-
Here we go. All you hear is reports.
Yeah.
That's all I'm interested in. I've been taking a shot of whiskey before every contest lately because I get really nervous. It's kind of ridiculous, to be honest. But halfway through, these were the numbers: 4,760 contacts. Pretty happy, very happy with the mult total actually. 10 meters. This was in a 45-minute period. That's how long the opening lasted. 267 cues.
What time of day?
What's that?
What time of day?
Right around 17 Zulu, so noon there, I guess. I guess that's roughly it, something like that. But now we have I had with the flex, I had the pan adapters set up, looking for a bubble on 10 meters, and as soon as you see a signal, you go, right? You just go and you start CQing your ass off.
Can't believe how loud those guys
A
are.
little slower.
He's didn't tell you his name.
About 38 words a minute?
44.
Oh, really?
I didn't even know I was operating for about an hour. I did stop and I ran into the shower really quickly and tried to revive myself. It helped for maybe 20 seconds. And come back out and I'm operating and I really went off and I didn't even know I was operating. I couldn't see this. I really could not see the computer screen anymore. And I started hallucinating hardcore. Never done drugs, but I think this is what would have happened. Okay, so at one point I thought I was sitting on a pool table. I thought the two radios were golf courses. Rate was still going well. I actually, Cam came in there to check on me, and I said, I'm sorry, it's over. I can't do it anymore. And my rate was like, I had an hour of like 190 something, and he just laughed and just keep going. And I'm really confused. I'm picturing myself as sitting in an open field at one point and just kind of staring around. In the last several hours, I thought I was in the fetal position in the corner operating like this. But somehow, like I dug really deep and I said, try to focus on anything, okay? So I looked at the screen looked like this big to me, and all I was focusing on was the entry windows. And I said, okay, if that's red, you don't worry about it. And whatever you hear, you type in the other box. That's all you got to do. This was an ice towel that was brought in and laid over my head. And let me tell you, that was one of the best feelings of my life. With a few hours left, internally, like, 7K is probably even doable at this point in the sunspot cycle. So I said, I'm going to do it. But with an hour to go, the rate was kind of not good. And then 40 and 20 picked up. I got a really good frequency on 40. And the last hour, I think it was 170 or something like that. When about 15 minutes ago, I crossed. What was really funny, I was at one short of 7,000, and there's like a dry spell. Give me something! And keep pushing. And this is going to sound funny to you guys. I watched, like, I'm really into motivational stuff, and I watch all these like little short motivational videos. Have you ever seen the one from, this was more so the second night. It's called Defeating the Giants or something like that. And this kid has to do a bear crawl across the football field with another guy on his back. And the coach is just screaming at him. He's like, "You're very fast. You're having fun." Just a challenge to try to do that. So I kept pushing. But I think the biggest miracle was when I'm still really spaced out. What about 2 hours to go, VO1MP calls me on 20. I thought it was a malt, and I start just screaming at the top of my lungs. It wasn't. It already worked the VO1. And of course, Cam comes out, the baby, the baby, the baby. He has a 4-month-old son. And I was like, oh God, I'm terrible. I woke up your son. I didn't. But, so, you're pretty delirious, but I had I was in a frame of mind to ask VO1MP to try a QSO at 23:57 on 80 meters. He got it, and the other miracle was that I remembered to go there, and it worked. It worked. That might have been the biggest victory right there. I could have made 1 Q and would have been happy with that. Bottom line, 7,041 Qs. The raw Qs were 7,350. I did not know I broke 7 million until the contest was over. So that was a good feeling as well. 366 on 10. I felt pretty good about that because I figured that 37 mults was enough to offset the difference with somebody who might have been had a longer opening and maybe got a little more of the West Coast. Low bands, God, I love it. 530 on 160, over 1,000 on 80. Really nice to use the 2 wire Yagis.